Hurry up, 5 minutes. 5 minutos. Esta noche es muy caliente.
Hey, download your TikTok app today so you can have Chinese spyware in your house for free. You go down! Give me money!
Fucking future!
We're talking about a fat ass and everything, yeah.
I said loud ass. It's like I took a poop and it was one of those painful ones that brings a tear to your eye.
A crowd of nearly 20,000 people started yelling out, "Go Palestine, go Hamas," and other related hateful jargon. The audience was cheering Chappelle on during his tirade. I was sick, we were sick. We walked out, met up with other people leaving. Never in my life have I found this out. You know, I think here in Boston, they read how because there's so much hate for Jewish people. Look, I don't know about you, but I never ever think about Jewish people. I don't. It's so weird. Like, I don't think about these things, about anybody. So, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of people that don't care for you know, they have their own reasons, I guess, for picking one side or the other, but certainly this is an interesting development for Chappelle. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Oh, man. We squeaked one out.
Johnson, why are you naked? Because my t-shirt sucks. Look at Johnson.
This t-shirt does suck.
He's wearing
It's
a
true.
classic tee. It fits him tight in all the right places, but leaves the perfect amount of room in the front. God, I hate that guy. He looks so damn good in that.
Yeah, we don't need that ad. We don't need that ad. Now, if they want to sponsor me, absolutely, we do need a break just for that ad.
I actually think that Trump out of office.
For a good reason.
Right now, as it stands, there's nobody beating down our door except Raid Shadow Legends. No, I'm just kidding. No, not even them. I know my far reach of an audience of 3 to 4 really good friends. Sigh. We're working on it. We're working on it. It's a work in progress. You know, I'm supposed to be putting up YouTube shorts and all that jazz. And we're not doing too well at that. Let's work and effort. You guys really expect me to put forth work and effort? That's just rude. Why would you want that from me? I thought we were friends. I mean, we are friends, right? Just you and me, the dog, you know, we chilling. Well, guess what? Tonight we have a brand new, never before tried rye from a very, very big fan of the channel. Super fan? Definitely not a groupie. Nah, she's the president of my fan club. Waffles. You guys love my purple phone. You love it. You like it, you love it, you want some more of it. Tonight we are celebrating the Hard Truth High Road Rye, straight rye whiskey. Whew. I mean, they're not a sponsor either, but you know, maybe I'll petition them. Like, hey, you guys want to sponsor me? You just need to send me like a couple bottles a month. The question is, will I like their product enough to even write that email? I can fake it. Ooh, that's a tight seal right there. Hold on. Oh, that. Well, it smells nice. But what the hell do I know? I got a sensitive nose. I didn't say I have a smart nose. I got the big sipper. So they got a 2 wood cork because it looks like they put a different type of cork on the inside. But look at that! Look how nice that cork looks. That looks chunky, just like me. It's chunky. All right. Well, let's see how hard truth is. Hard truth. High road rye, sweet mash, straight rye whiskey. Giggity. Cheers. Titty. Interesting. It's not as spicy as my typical rye. You know, I did ask for a Tennessee whiskey. This is Indiana, which is it's fine. It tastes all right. You know, it's not bad. It's not bad. I will not be savoring it, but I also will not be choking it down. So we're middle of the road with the hard truth, or hard truth. It's not the hard truth, it's just hard truth. Titty. The question is, will I say titty every time I take a sip from the titty cup? You better fucking believe it. Titty, titty, get ya, ya. I mean, seriously, everybody loves titties. And then, of course, there's that one smartass who chimes in with the not gay man. I'm like, who do you think designs clothing for fashion? You think it's a bunch of straight guys getting together? Like, this color totally goes great with this. Nah, it's a bunch of gay guys. They may not like titties, but guess what? Well, no, to be fair, the models are mostly flat as the board. That's besides the point. That just makes it easier to design the most outrageous things because it'll fit a 12-year-old boy. Whatever. But I'm saying some of those models have boobies, and they have to design the clothes to kind of fit the boobies, right? So whether they like the boobies or not, they're still dealing with the boobies, and that's how they make their money, because it's only boobies who buy into high fashion. You're dumb as a piece of subcutaneous fat. Like, look at me. I'm going to spend 40 grand on this piece of plastic made by this guy with a weird name. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Look, I figured, like, you're in Tennessee, exotic, faraway land. You get, I mean, as a bourbon or rye, it's just like Tennessee, something you haven't seen. But this isn't bad. This stuff isn't bad. Didn't know Indiana even made whiskey. So, you know, you learn something dumb every day. What up, Alex? How you doing, Bubba? Look at his dog. Squishy dog. Yeah, we squishy dog. Anyways. Welcome to the stream, guys. Look at this. Look, would you look at this? Look at my purple case. How dope is that? It's dope. Fucking love it. Purple. Purple. Metallic purple. Oh no. Well, I'm okay. So the specifications were bourbon or rye, something Tennessee that you haven't seen around here. I thought I painted with a pretty broad stroke brush. Just the common cold. That's what they all say. And then they go to take a nap and we never see them again. No, I'm just kidding. You're young and you're healthy. You go pull right through. Just was it? Feed a cold, starve a fever? I don't fucking know. Just eat if you're hungry. Always stay hydrated. There you go. Is it feed a fever? Starve a cold? No, that's not it either. It's penis, waffle, waffle. Alright. Now that we've had this chat. Welcome to the stream, y'all. Oh, wait, I gotta send Ray her own individual invite. Here, too. Ooh. Da 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 da. Who else is getting one? Everybody's getting one. Yeah, I'm done sending out invites. If they join, they join. If they don't, oh well. Big stinky poo-poo. Is seafood one word or is it a hyphenated word? I think it's one word. It's okay. Just sea and food, that just doesn't seem right. And that's okay. Doesn't always have to be right. I understood what you were trying to say. Check out the sweet Kershaw knife I got. Oh yeah, they could sponsor the channel. I'd be totally okay with that. And you know, for the one person on my stream who does appreciate a decent piece of cutlery, they would buy it. So, you know, it'd be totally worth it for them to advertise on my channel, you know, or sponsor me, you know. Give me money, not just pay me in cutlery. Because, you know what, you can never have too many firearms and you can never have too many cutting implements. This is my personal motto. I think it should be my family crest, but since the family name dies with me, I guess it doesn't fucking matter, does it? Branding, people. Branding. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Got my book right here. I got my titty sipper. Ooh, titty. You know what? The whiskey coming through that tiny hole, that makes it something extra special right there. So how we doing today, kids? We doing all right? And seafood poisoning sounds absolutely wretched. Was it coming out of both ends? I'm sure it was. I don't want to hear about it. It's fine. I want to hear about either one of your ends, son. That's okay. If you want to share to the group before I start reading, that's fine. Appreciate you for tuning back in. I meant to send you a friend request, but I just keep on forgetting to add friend. Does that make me a bad friend? Probably. Are you judging me? Don't judge me too harshly. What, the seafood poisoning? Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good time. Artificial peach. Yeah, baby. Is that going to be enough? I hope so. Because we will wrap this up nice and loosey-goosey. And stick it in the lip. Redneck fabulous. You know, they say, when in Rome, fuck a boy. I'm not in Rome. I'm in Alabama. And I got a truck, got a dog, and I got dip. That's as Alabama as I can go. And sometimes I say y'all, unironically, nowadays. Fuck. So tonight we are on Hard Truth Distilling Company, High Road Rye. Boop. Yeah. No more advertising for them. No more free adverts. From now on, you've got to pay, mate. Well, I didn't stop going to the car wash because it's in a convenient location for me personally. And it's pretty cheap. I think, what is it, 10, 15 bucks a month I'm spending for unlimited once-a-day washes. That alone's worth it to me, because as much as I love climbing in and out of my truck to wash it, it's just so much easier to pull up and have those machines fuck up my seal on my windshield. Yes, I still go to your former job / car wash. It's just on the way home for me. Like if I'm coming from Montgomery or Prattville, it's just on the way home. So it makes sense for me to keep going there. Like that one place, I'm kind of interested because it's a bit newer. The one on the corner of, not Old Farm, whatever. It's on the corner, right across from. I'm having a brain fart. It's on the corner across from Longhorns. I could go 3 times in a day? Well, shit the bed. Yeah. The one that's on the corner of Lowe's, yeah. That one. Just because it's new, I'm sure their equipment is in better shape just because it's not as old. Not that your old car wash was particularly old, but comparatively speaking, you know, we always stay on that fresh new joint, that fresh hype, that fresh hotness, that fresh young hotness, right? Does it? It's out of the way. It's not convenient for me. So I'll take a bad wash versus their good wash. If I live more in Prattville, you know, this thing, like, even if I'm just going to Walmart, boom, it's right there. Versus, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I'm such a creature of convenience and habit. Speaking of habits, I've got, I think, 2 more cans of dip and I'm done. I'm done. I'm tired of buying this shit. I'm tired of looking like there's a skeeter on my feet or whack it off. So I plan on quitting the tobacco soon, or the nicotine, and then it's going to be chewing gum and just terribleness. Oh, anyways, I'm gonna grab that book. I'll slide it over, nice and slow, like. Let me see your hands. Keep more I can see them. Look at my little red book. I know what a little black book is, but what would a little red book be? Is this where I keep the information of my enemies? Lest they slight me, I shall smite them? I don't know. Chapter 3. We're only at Chapter 3? There's a lot of pages for Chapter 3. August 5th, 1969. London, England, 11:35 a.m. The end is near for the Beatles. A London policeman stops traffic as photographer Ian McMillan stands on a stepladder, aiming his lens at the zebra-striped pedestrian crossing of Abbey Road. A white VW Beetle, not an intentional prop, is parked along one curb. Opposite, an American salesman named Paul Cole wanders into the frame without knowing he is destined to be immortalized on a Beatles album cover. Macmillan has just 15 minutes. The 4 lads crossed back and forth 3 times. John leads the way. Paul is barefoot. He wore sandals to the studio today and took them off for the shoot. This street will give the album its name, chosen over the initial Everest because nobody on the band wanted to fly to the Himalayas for a photo session. Makes sense. Once upon a time, the Beatles were so tight that such a task would have been natural, but as the Abbey Road recording sessions near their end, tension is high. Discord dominates. Ringo Starr and George Harrison have both at separate times quit the band in a rage, only to return. John Lennon has already told the group that he wants blind faith's Eric Clapton to replace Harrison should George bolt again. Lennon himself remains part of the band, but he is a man apart, refusing to play on songs he finds annoying, such as McCartney's Maxwell's Silver Hammer and Harrison's I'm Me Mine. I love those songs. Doesn't matter. He doesn't want to play it? He's not going to play. Oh well. Longtime Beatles producer George Martin understands the problem. They've been incarcerated with each other for nearly a decade. I was surprised that they had lasted as long as they did. Martin agreed to produce Abbey Road only after Lennon assured him he would try to stop taking control. But their dispute is not just about recording, and it's not just about Yoko Ono's annoying presence in the studio. The greatest issue is John Lennon's heroin use. Even as the singer continues to downplay the effects of his habit, his bouts of rage and instability have the band on edge. It's difficult to tell when Lennon's heroin use began, perhaps 1 year ago, but maybe as far as back as 1967. The other Beatles were also bothered by Lennon's drug-infused lyrics. Happiness is a Warm Gun from 1968's White Album features the line, I need a fix 'cause I'm going down, and then everybody's got something to hide except me and my monkey from the same record. Lennon alludes to the joys of dope. The deeper you go, the higher you fly. Paul McCartney, in particular, is furious with his writing partner. He was getting into harder drugs than we'd been into, so his songs were taking on more references to heroin. Until that point, we had made rather mild, oblique references to pot or LSD, but now John started to talk about fixes and monkeys, and it was harder terminology, which the rest of us weren't into. We were disappointed that he was getting into heroin because we didn't really know how we could help him. Just tell him no. Just say no, Paul. John, sorry. Whatever, close enough. Sorry. Thus, as the Beatles shoot one of the most famous album covers of all time, the band is in turmoil. Soon, Lennon will realize that he needs to end his heroin use. But that takes strong willpower. She is his only... Oh, and then there's Yoko, who is also using heroin. She is his only ally. Lennon is a man without close friends, and now even his bandmates don't like him. He also blames the Beatles and the rejection of his new wife as the excuse for his taking the strongly addictive opiate. Heroin. It was not too much fun. I never injected it or anything, he will tell Rolling Stones magazine 1 year from now. We sniffed a little when we were in real pain. I mean, we just couldn't. People were giving us such a hard time. And I've had so much shit thrown at me, and especially at Yoko. People like Peter Brown in our office. He comes down and shakes my hand and doesn't even say hello to her. Now that's going on all the time. We get in so much pain that we have to do something about it. And that's what happened to us. We took H because of what the Beatles and their pals were doing to us. Well, I mean, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. A true story. I don't know, we lost somebody and that's sad, but we shall soldier on. This might be a super short one, guys. Chitty. Wow. Oh no! Sorry, dog. That was loud. We were just talking about you. So, I'm thinking about starting a... What? Feeling like Roxy? Just laying there? And only responding to treats? Thinking everything's a treat? This treat's for you. This treat's for me. Fast forward to a month after the recording sessions for Abbey Road wrapped. John Lennon is on rhythm guitar, Klaus BOurb0N on bass, Alan White on drums, and Eric Clapton plays lead guitar. It is September 13th, 1969, and Lennon and his new bandmates are performing a live show in Toronto. The most prominent song performed by Lennon's new Plastic Ono band is about his drug use. The singer will later joke that Cold Turkey is the story of when he got violently ill after eating Christmas leftovers, but the song is really about his quitting opioids. I was just writing the experience I'd had of withdrawing from heroin, he will admit 1 decade later. To some, it was a rock and roll version of The Man with the Golden Arm, because the movie showed Frank Sinatra suffering from drug withdrawal. The Toronto Rock and Roll Revival was the first time Lennon's new band performed together. Yoko still considers herself a conceptual performer, is at first nowhere to be seen. A temporary situation. 3 weeks ago, Lennon ordered Yoko to strap him to a chair for the day and a half needed to detox. He refused to go to a treatment center, knowing that if he did, the public will learn of his addiction. Even as she also went into withdrawal, Yoko oversaw the process, which included Lennon throwing up on himself. Due to the graphic nature of the drug terminology, the other Beatles rejected Cold Turkey for the Abbey Road album, leading Lennon to release it himself. Praying to someone, free me again, I'll be a good boy. Please make me well. I promise you anything out of this hell. Suddenly, Yoko emerges from a bag on the Toronto stage, steps up to the microphone and begins making turkey noises. Okay. The truth is, Lennon had not kicked his heroin habit. Just days after trying to quit, he played Cold Turkey for Bob Dylan, triggering a personal relapse. Lennon will actually continue to use hard drugs for many years. That situation might be responsible for his ongoing callous behavior. He is often cruel to his son, Julian, once screaming, "I hate your fucking laugh," when the child giggles in his presence. My God. You know, just when I think I couldn't possibly hate Lennon anymore, we get another fucking layer. He's... No. The boy will later label his father as a hypocrite for the way he treats Julian's mother, Cynthia. Dad could talk about peace and love out loud to the world, but he could never show it to the people who supposedly meant the most to him, his wife and son. How can you talk about peace and love and have a family in bits and pieces? No communication, adultery, divorce. You can't do it, not if you're being true and honest with yourself. Yet there's another side to John Lennon that Julian will long remember. Dad made me laugh a lot. He was a real comedian. He had a real sarcastic sense of humor. He could really make a fool out of people. I have to watch it a little bit because I caught that habit from him. I was really fond of him. He was my idol. Julian made these remarks to the Telegraph in May 1998. It was a Wednesday, August 20th, 1969, and the temperature in London is a humid 84 degrees. This is the last day the Beatles will ever be in the recording studio together. The group first began making the records in 1962 with Love Me Do. Much has changed in the world since then, but the Beatles have been a musical constant throughout. Today's first session takes place in EMI's smaller Studio 3, where the band puts the finishing touches on John's I Want You, She's So Heavy, which the group previously recorded back on February 22nd. Yeah? Roxy needs to control the intake? Yeah, she's fucked up. The song is supposed to play at the end of Abbey Road's first side. Do-do-do, bow, boom, boom, boom. I like that song. It's pretty catchy. Ooh, titty. Big sipper. Wow. Oh yeah, I know. Titty. I got a titty sipper. Oh. Say it's a big sipper from Orange Beach. Titty. Can I show that on the stream? I don't care. Oh shit, I'm supposed to have music playing. I knew something was missing. Like, do you get with or without music? Somebody let me know. Honestly, like, does the music add or take away, or are you indifferent? Do you prefer me with or without music? And then, of course, the answer will be, well, it depends on the music. Serious question. With or without? Let me know. Or it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's three options. Or there's a fourth option. I'm sure somebody will find one. What's the fourth option on that one? Anybody? Nobody? Somebody? Oh, fine. Nobody respond. I see how it is, guys. Rude as hell. That's why we can't have nice damn things. It's okay. I think it's okay. Is it okay, Roxy? Some music is good? No, fine. Since you say some music is good, I'll give you the option. Are we going classical or are we going with the non-copyrighted lo-fi hip-hop? Well, that's why you guys tune in, so you can, be my QC, because I can't really hear the stream. Or I can't hear the overall production as you guys hear it, so be like, hey, turn on the music some. No music. Okay, so I got one saying music is good. Yes, that's my favorite instrument. Music is dumb. No, music is the thing that soothes the savage beast. Music is not dumb. Some music can be dumb. Hey, Roxy clearly doesn't need music. Quiet. So I should just sit here and read silently to myself. What are you suggesting, Ray? Just sit here, just stare at the camera, make everybody uncomfortable. Like, is this the whole stream? I guess. Okay, so we got one yay and one nay. Cheetah, tiebreaker? It's lulls all around. Like, seriously. I mean, since you three are my biggest supporters, I don't want to say fans, because that's a bit of a stretch. Oh, stop it. That's how besties talk about each other, I guess. Y'all ain't right. I know I ain't right. I mean, I'm usually correct, but I'm not right. So that's 2 for no, and 1 for yay. Okay, so this is a learning experience. No music, and whatever. Well, the ayes have it, or the nays have it, I guess. It's fine. I'll get back to the book. What she says, as long as it's not overpowering, she says some music is good. I you know, unlike our federal republic, I am more of a democracy kind of feller in the context of the stream. Now, it is a bit of a technocracy, because if I don't agree, then I'm still going to do what I do, but I still like to know you guys' opinions. It is important to me. It really is. Lo-fi. So no classical. Y'all ain't digging the classical. And then, ooh, is that loud? Just remember, these jabs will be played tomorrow while I continue to do my gunpla, aka my Gundam building. I did finish the one I was building this last couple Wednesdays. I can't believe it took me as long as it did, but then again I can, because there's a lot of parts to him, and he's not still the mobile suit itself is done, but there's some other odds and ends like weapons and stuff, which I'll probably try to get done before the stream so I can start working on something new for you guys. We can all listen to me bitch and moan and cuss about the next thing. Yes, that's the gunpla. It's Gundam / plastic, or that's the more English version. I forget the Japanese terms, but it's pretty similar. Plastico. How are my levels? Am I alright? Can you hear me alright? Yeah, my Bobby Ross Wednesday is temporarily suspended while I try to find a muse. So in the meantime, let me work on somebody else's artwork, 3D artwork, and put it together. Alright, thank you, Cheetah. Let's continue, shall we? The second session goes well into the night, lasting from dinner until 1:15 in the morning. The action shifts to the control room of Studio 2, where the bands work to assemble the song Order. There is still editing and re-recording to do, but that will be done individually over the next 5 days. Ringo's Octopus's Garden and McCartney's Oh Darling are reversed in order. I Want You, She's So Heavy remains the last song on side 1. Given her presence in the studio, the song is an homage to Yoko. It is almost 8 minutes long, yet the band can't find a way to end it. Lennon argues against a fade-out, feeling the song will lose its impact. Instead, he suggests that producer George Martin abruptly stop the tape at the 7:47 mark. This sudden ending sounds very much like someone in the studio simply pulling the plug. Fittingly, the final song on side 2 of Abbey Road is The End. And so it is done. The exhausted Beatles head out into the night, going their separate ways. The goodbyes are formal and brief. It's almost like all the lads know it is over. Side 1, Come Together. I'm not reading up the fucking songs for Abbey Road. Jesus, man. You can Google that shit. I don't feel like there's a reason for them to list the songs for one of the most popular albums of all time, but okay. And so it is done. The exhausted Beatles head out into the night, going their separate ways. The seeds of a Beatles breakup have clearly been sown. The thing is, so much of what they held to be the truth was crap. Paul McCartney will later remember speaking of John and Yoko as one. War is over. Well, no, it isn't. McCartney will add, I've been able to accept Yoko in the studio sitting on a blanket in front of my amp. I worked hard to come to terms with that. But John turned nasty. I don't really understand why. Maybe we grew up in Liverpool where it was always good to get in the first punch in the fight. Yet the fight will go on. There's more drama to come. Chapter 4. April 10th, 1970. London, England. Afternoon. Paul McCartney is breaking up the Beatles, or so it seems. The singer sends out a simple press release to announce his first solo album, McCartney. Written in the form of a question and answer session with himself, the statement shocks the world. Did you miss the Beatles? No. Are you planning a new album or single with the Beatles? No. Do you foresee a time when Lennon-McCartney becomes an active songwriting partnership again? No. Bro is cold, but I don't blame him. The news rockets around the globe. Paul, I quit, screams one London headline. Paul McCartney announces today that he split from the Beatles, writes the Associated Press, accidentally mistaking the bass player's role in the band. Paul, 27-year-old songwriter, lead guitarist, and singer, blamed the break on personal differences, business differences, musical differences, but most of all, I have a better time with my family. Fair enough. Fan reaction is mixed. Some are shocked, others will say they've seen it coming for some time. Many are appeased by the news of forthcoming solo albums from each band member. Because it is McCartney who formally announces his departure first, he takes the blame for pulling the plug on the Beatles. The truth, however, is far more complex. Oh, time for another sippy sip? Yes, titty. I think we should top that off with a little more, huh? Why is it so spicy? It really isn't. This is probably one of the least spicy ryes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's more sweet than it is spicy. Which, my favorite thing about rye is the fact that it is spicy. That's okay. We have a little bit more, huh? Just a little bit more. Because the cup can only fit so much. I don't understand why it's got such a low backside to it. But, you know, it's fine. August 27, 1967. 32-year-old Brian Epstein lives in his London apartment, dead from an overdose of sleeping pills and alcohol. That happens. Epstein was a Beatles manager, a former Liverpool record store owner who transformed the band from an undisciplined group who often ate and drank on stage into a global sensation. He convinced the lads to dress in suits while performing and to take a bow after each number. More important, Epstein engineered the band's first recording contract in 1962, arranging them to work with top producer George Martin. Epstein effectively ran the Beatles, his cut being up to 25% of their earnings. He was a British version of Colonel Tom Parker, overseeing every aspect of their business affairs while living with his own personal gambling problems. Epstein was also glue for the four very disparate individuals, keeping the Beatles disciplined and focused on making great music. You see, that's unlike Colonel Tom Parker, but and 25% is still half of, well, actually, yeah, it's still half of what the Colonel was asking, so waffles. On the morning Epstein is discovered dead in his pajamas by his butler, the Beatles are at a pivotal moment in their careers. They have quit touring for good and have just finished recording their most creatively challenging album to date, the psychedelic Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, with producer Martin. John Lennon is spending more time with Yoko Ono and coming out of a long bout with depression. George Harrison is pursuing a growing fascination with Indian music. Ringo Starr is unsure whether he wants to remain with the band. And Paul McCartney is enchanted with Linda Eastman, a photographer whom he met at a London nightclub. Because of his death, the world will never know if Brian Epstein could have continued to push the Beatles in a disciplined financial direction. His forte was business acumen. The band is incredibly creative with their music and just as imaginative with the way they spend money. However, none of them is disciplined. No Beatle has the required business know-how for handling large sums of money. Since Epstein transformed them from a rough group of Liverpool youths into history's biggest musical recording act, the band members have gotten into the habit of buying whatever they want, whenever they want. In the world of show business, with the emphasis on business, the Beatles rely on Epstein to advise them in an honest fashion. Without Epstein, the lads are lost. I knew that we were in trouble after Epstein died, John will later recall. I didn't really have any misconceptions about our ability to do anything other than play music. I was scared, I thought. We fucking had it. Your personal finances are in a mess. The note to the Beatles is simple and direct. Left in the offices of Apple Records by an unnamed accountant who was quit in frustration. In May 1968, 9 months after Brian Epstein's death, the band formed a parent company called Apple Corps. In making the announcement, John Lennon described the venture as a business concerning records, films, and electronics. We want to set up a system whereby people who just want to make a film about anything don't have to go on their knees in somebody's office. Probably yours. What you think, dog? And while the company will go on out to put out music by the Beatles and other artists such as James Taylor, its Savile headquarters will soon become an artist playpen. One former staffer will remember that his main job was procuring marijuana for the lads. The company hired accountants and other financial professionals to manage the money, but a lack of guiding force like Epstein slowly leads the company and each Beatle toward financial insolvency. This does not go unnoticed in the music world. Would-be managers seek an audience with the band eager to replace Brian Epstein. Two leading candidates emerge. American businessman Alan Klein, a 36-year-old New Jersey native with a reputation for making his clients money, but also, in McCartney's word, for being dodgy. The second potential business manager is Lee Eastman, an American and Paul McCartney's new father-in-law upon his marriage to Linda in 1969. In hindsight, neither will seem the perfect choice. More than anything, the clash between these two men will break up the Beatles. Klein is more aggressive, a burly man with swagger. He educates himself on the history of the Beatles and then commiserates with John and Yoko, believing them to be the band's power couple. Lennon is taken with Klein and convinces George Harrison and Ringo Starr to align with him. When it comes to situations such as this, the Beatles have long operated by a simple majority rule, but Paul McCartney dissents, fueled by a note from fellow rocker Mick Jagger, who had once business dealings with Klein. McCartney argues that Lee Eastman is the better choice. Alan Klein managed the Rolling Stones from 65 to 70. Prior to the Beatles signing with Klein, Stones lead singer Mick Jagger advised Paul McCartney, "Don't go near him." The Stones would go on to successfully sue Klein for non-payment of royalties for attempting to take control of their music catalog. One example of their $1.25 million advance from Decca Records in 1965, which was deposited into the accounts of a company owned by Klein. Unbeknownst to the Rolling Stones, Klein's contract stated that he did not need to release the money to the band until 1985. Wow. what a piece of shit. Okay, anyways. He does not mention the growing influence his new bride has on his thinking. In fact, Linda is no less a force than Yoko Ono. She just has a subtler method of getting her way. Her loyalty to Paul corresponds with Yoko's fealty to John, so there are really 6 Beatles now. John, George, Ringo already feel Paul is too much power. Giving McCartney's father-in-law financial control would weigh matters further in his favor. Man, the power struggle is real. Ooh, I'm feeling this whiskey. I might not even make a full hour. Let's have another sip, shall we? Let's shall. Sorry, titty. Ooh, buddy. Anyways. Paul McCartney loses. The other Beatles are suspicious of Eastman. Ringo will remember. We met with Alan Klein, and we were convinced by him. Well, I was convinced by him, and John too. My impression of him when I first met him was brash. I'll get it done, lads. Lots of enthusiasm. A good guy with a pleasant attitude about himself in a really gross New York way. So the decision was him or him, and I picked him. That was 2 of us, and George did the same. Good God. George will add, because we are all from Liverpool, we favored the people who were street people. Lee Eastman was more of a class-conscious type of person. As John was going with Klein, it was much easier if we went with him too. The meeting with Klein occurred on May 9, 1969, just before the 2-month hiatus in the middle of recording Abbey Road. Soon after, McCartney also stopped visiting Apple Records headquarters, no longer feeling welcome inside the company he helped create. When the time comes for each Beatle to sign Klein's management contract, a furious McCartney refuses to place a signature on the document. Soon after, firmly established as the band's manager and no longer needing to curry favor with Paul, Alan Klein stops taking the singer's phone calls. At first, Klein does well negotiating a new contract between the Beatles and EMI Records. Abbey Road has not yet been released, but Klein succeeds in getting a higher royalty rate, raising the band's income from each album from 17.5% to 25%. Under the terms of the deal, the Beatles would record 2 new albums every year until 1976. 2 new albums a year? That's fucking crazy, yo. The same month, the precise date is unknown, but the contract is backdated to May 8th. The group gathers in a small office at Apple Records to sign the paperwork. George Harrison, off to Cheshire to visit his mother, is not there, but he will soon sign. Ringo, John, and Paul are present, and Yoko, of course. She wears all black. In a photo taken to document the moment, Yoko clings to a denim-clad Lennon. Ringo wears a leather jacket and a white scarf. McCartney, looking fatigued with dark circles around his eyes, is dressed in his usual waistcoat and open-collared shirt. Standing in the middle of the group is a black turtleneck, Elvis Presley pompadour, and black sideburns is smiling Klein. Despite the divisive past few months, and encouraged by the soon-to-be-released Abbey Road, Paul McCartney does a turnaround. He is suddenly invigorated, sensing a rebirth in the band. As a new contract is being signed, Paul begins lobbying for a series of live performances. I think we should go back to little gigs. I really think we're a great little band. We should find our basic roots, and then who knows what will happen. We may want to fold after that, or we may really think we've still got it, he tells the room. I think you're daft, John responds. I think you're daft. Close enough, whatever. Just like that, the tension felt during the Abbey Road sessions returns. Paul McCartney has an immediate sense of foreboding about the group's future. I must admit, we'd known it was coming at some point because of his intense involvement with Yoko. John needed to give space to his band and Yoko's thing. Someone like John would want to end the Beatles period and start the Yoko period, and he wouldn't like either to interfere with the other. Lennon's memory of what happens next differs from that of the others in the room. We were discussing something in the office with Paul, and he was saying to do something, and I kept saying no to everything he said. So it came to a point that I had to say something. So I said, the group's over, I'm leaving. Oh, bitch, you're the one who was saying no. But anyways. Others will remember Lennon stating, I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm breaking the group up. It feels good. It feels like a divorce. That man had the most expensive divorce in history up until relatively recently, but I digress. But on Alan Klein's demand, John Lennon does not announce his decision to the public. Klein feels that such a proclamation will have a negative effect on the new deal with EMI and on the sales of Abbey Road. Well, I think the band breaking up would have made more sales, but that's just me personally. When you know something's over, you want to cash in on the hype, or the lack thereof, I don't know. So John stays silent, even as the other Beatles personally grapple with the end of an era. If that had happened in 65 or 67, even, it would have been a mighty shock, Ringo Starr will remember. Now it's just, let's get the divorce over with, really. And John was always the most forward when it came to nailing everything. Phrasing. So it is that John Lennon hammers the final nail into the Beatles' proverbial coffin. Not even Yoko was forewarned. Gasp. Their journeys to stardom were arduous. Born Richard Starkey, Ringo Starr was abandoned by his father at the age of 3. His mother fussed over her only child, working low-paying jobs to make ends meet. Richard almost died at the age of 6, falling into a coma after a bout of peritonitis and spending a year in the hospital. He fell behind in his schooling during this time, and by the age of 12, he was considered functionally illiterate. Along the way, he contracted tuberculosis and was again confined. However, he used that time learning to drum. I mean, I guess you got to do something with all that downtime. As a teenager, he joined a band called Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. But after sitting in for Beatles drummer Pete Best on several occasions, Richard Starkey was formally invited to replace Best. The decision was not easy, as the Hurricanes were popular in Liverpool. But having changed his name to Ringo Starr, the drummer chose the Beatles at a most opportune time. It was 1962 and Beatlemania would hit the next year. We wanted to be the top of Liverpool, maybe top of England, then Denmark, then France, and we did the whole of Europe. America was beyond our wildest dreams, Starr later told the Times of London. Ringo was an outsider from the start, taking years to earn the trust of his bandmates. John Lennon famously disparaged Ringo's drumming, stated that not only was Starr not the best drummer in the world, but he wasn't even the best drummer in the band. Yeah, he's not even the best drummer in the band. Lennon's decision to break up the Beatles hit Ringo Starr hard. He began drinking heavily, spending almost 20 years in and out of inebriation. His first marriage to Mary, Maureen Cox, fell apart, but the drummer eventually found his way, marrying former Bond girl Barbara Bach and building a solid solo career. On the day that John Lennon is shot dead, it will be Ringo Starr who immediately gets on a plane to New York to console Yoko Ono. George Harrison is ready for the Beatles to break up. His departure from the studio early in the Get Back recordings with Lennon's subsequent threat to replace him with Eric Clapton underscored years of growing dissent. It would be nice if any of us could do separate things as well. That way, it also preserves the Beatle bit of it more, he tells Lennon. Of his short-lived departure, he adds, I'm just going to do me for a bit. Fair enough. Now George Harrison sees John's divorce as a change to continue his own creative growth, singing and recording songs he writes. In 1968, Harrison releases the soundtrack to a film titled Wonderwall Music, the first album released by the Apple Records label. He then continues with the solo album, Electronic Sound, released in 1969. These albums did not do well with critics or consumers. Electronic Sound peaked at number 191 on the Billboard charts. Holy shit, that's not good. John Lennon's decision to break up the Beatles devastates Paul McCartney. John's in love with Yoko, and he's no longer in love with the other three of us, he will tell London's Evening Standard in April 1970, months after the breakup occurs. In that span, McCartney loses his way. Without the Beatles, of whom he has been a part since age 15, when they were the Quarrymen, he becomes uncertain about his future. Like Ringo Starr, he takes a drink. At first it is whiskey, in the evening, as he spends his time with Linda, her daughter Heather, from previous marriage, and their infant Mary. Well, speaking of which, I'm going to finish this chapter and we're going to call it K. But that doesn't mean leave. Stay here for the good times. Titty. McCartney continues to decline. He stays drunk most of the time, not shaving or washing, unable to shake a crippling depression. Here I am, Linda tells a friend, married to a drunk who won't take a bath. Done in by anxiety, McCartney can't sleep at night. Each day he chain smokes unfiltered senior service cigarettes and repeatedly fills his glass, not picking up his bass or writing music. He rarely leaves his bedroom. He is 27. Linda tires quickly of this new version of her husband. You don't have to take this crap, she harangues him, referring to the Beatles drama. You're a grown man. Linda Eastman's quotes come from Peter Carlin's Paul McCartney, A Life. By Christmas 1969, Paul McCartney is in the studio again. He records at home, completely in secret. He will call his withdrawal from the band Therapy Through Hell, and the new record something to get him through one of the worst times in my life. 3 months later, McCartney calls Lennon to tell him he is officially no longer a Beatle. Good, Lennon responds. That makes two of us who have accepted it mentally. God, that guy just cannot help himself from being a dick. You know what? I don't think heroin may have accentuated the dickishness, but I think he was always a dick, and it just got worse with the heroin. That makes sense? Like, he already had quite a... I don't even know what the word is. The man was quite full of himself. Not like me, because I'm just super awesome in every single way. Also, I'm the most humble. People have told me that I'm the most humble ever, so, you know. I got that going on for me. Anyways, 1 month after that, McCartney's press release announcing his new solo album also states that he's leaving the Beatles for good, making the end official. Thank you. See, people agree I'm the most humble ever. But then a strange thing happens. John Lennon's vocal departure from the band is kept secret by the order of Alan Klein. The manager hopes the Beatles' rift will mend, but when McCartney makes his exit known to the public, Lennon becomes angry. He wants credit for the breakup. I started the band. I disbanded it. It's as simple as that. But the world believes it is the other way around, which infuriates Lennon even more. I think it was just straightforward jealousy, McCartney will later state in an interview. In the end, it is Paul's 1969 refusal to sign Klein's management contract that ends the conflict. Klein and the other three Beatles will not allow McCartney to make a contractual emancipation from the Apple Records. So the singer sues his former band. A court rules in McCartney's favor, formally dissolving the Beatles' partnership once and for all. In the end, Paul McCartney will go on to a long solo career. First as leader of the band Wings alongside Linda, He continues to successfully record after her death from breast cancer in 1998. Meanwhile, John Lennon also forms a new band with Yoko. I had already begun to want to leave, but when I met Yoko, it's like when you meet your first woman, he will admit to Playboy magazine. You leave the guys at the bar. You don't go play football anymore. You don't go play snooker or billiards. Maybe some guys do it on Friday night or something. But once I found the woman, the boys became of no interest whatsoever, other than being old school friends. Those wedding bells are breaking up that old gang of mine. We got married 3 years later in 1969. That was the end of the boys, and it just so happened that the boys were well known and weren't just local guys at the bar. Everybody got so upset over it. There was a lot of shit thrown at us, a lot of hateful stuff. No matter the clamor for a Beatles reunion never stops. There is a fervent hope that the lads will reunite, but that will never happen as John Lennon remains unmoved. Up until the very end. Linda Eastman will blame the breakup of Yoko Ono and Alan Klein, stating, "They had John so spinning about Paul it was heartbreaking." In 2013, Yoko Ono tells Interview magazine, "Feels like I was accused of something that I didn't do, which was breaking up the Beatles. It's like you're accused of murder and you're in prison and you can't get out." Wow. You definitely didn't help, Mamacita. Anyways, I appreciate all of you for staying on. Even though chat has been nearly non-existent, whatever the case may be. I'm going to hit that quick outro and call it a night. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in and staying on, and I will be back tomorrow around 8:30, 9 o'clock Central. In the meantime, let's hit that outro, shall we? Night, night. Oh, the dog knows. You've been cleaning pet stuff. Can I have them beans? Give me them beans. Give me them beans. Don't look at me like that. Give me them beans. Give me them beans. Oh, those are your beans? Shit ass. Alright guys, I appreciate you. I'll be back on tomorrow night with Gunpla Wednesday. For now, we'll go back to Bobby Ross Wednesday one day. In the meantime, have a good night, and here's the outro. Bye!